Well, welcome. Are you guys having a good time this morning? This is a nice event. Thank you guys for having me here. My name's Beth Conry. I am the past president of the Colorado State Beekeepers Association. I held that position for the last 6 years. As past president of something called the Western Apicultural Society, a position that you hold thankfully for one. And then you host a massive conference, and then you're done with that little exercise. And then I currently sit on the board as the treasurer of the Pollinator Stewardship Council, co-chair of something called People and Pollinators Action Network, and still active in regional associations in my area. So the title of this talk is Plenty of Money in Honey. Okay? And I like to go to conventions, and there's a guy by the name of Clint Walker that goes to these things too. Have you ever, any of you guys familiar with Clint Walker Honey Farm down in Texas? Okay, so Clint gave me permission to borrow this little graphic, and I have applied it to my business. But basically it is, you start in that upper left corner, and it's who are we? Okay, who do we want to be? I don't have enough light to run the laser pointer here, or I have too much light to run the laser pointer. And then how are we going to get there? And then, what are our options, and how are we going to get there? Okay, and so this is kind of the model that I'm going to go ahead and use, and how it applies to my business, and some thoughts for you on running your business, okay? So I call it my reality show, okay? And so Beth's reality show is, this is where we're at, is in that upper left-hand corner. So I am a honey distributor, okay, for both retail and wholesalers. We are a honey packer. What does a honey packer do? We take our honey and we put it in other people's labels for them. I'm a beekeeper. We run about 100 hives at this point. And then I am actively involved in club administration, or was, because this is where I used to be, not where I'm at right now, okay? And so I decided that I wanted to do basically the same thing, and then I wanted to explore all the options for doing that, okay? So I'm going to look at options for growing my business. And this is my brand right here, this B squared honey. Yeah, this laser pointer, I got too much light to run it. So B squared honey. That label is, if you look at that label, what is it, what do you think of? Does that look like a cheap honey? It looks like an expensive honey, okay? And it is, okay? And then that's branding. Okay, so we have branded that product to appeal to a certain niche of customers, and that certain niche of customers is high-end customers. It is upscale hotels. It is the Botanic Gardens. It's the Museum of Nature and Science, all of these top-notch visitor facilities. It is high-end gourmet grocery stores, okay? So this is our market. But I think to myself that, man, that's a great market. We're making a ton of money on that market. But maybe there's another one that's going to make me more, all right? And so I'm thinking about doing another brand. Another brand to maybe appeal to a different level of honey purchaser, maybe a higher volume, lower priced honey purchaser, or maybe I'm thinking about doing it to appeal to a different ethnic group, okay? There are lots of options, so I'm just thinking. I haven't done anything yet, but I'm thinking, okay? Other options for growing my honey business are some of these are some of the ones that I've considered, okay? So nurseries and garden centers. We sell a ton of nurseries and garden centers, both honey, and we have a beautiful line of beeswax candles, okay? And they're decorated with these dried floral arrangements, and nurseries just love them, okay? It's perfect for them. So does the Denver Botanic Gardens. It's perfect for them too, okay? Gift shops and boutique stores. I thought about this, and we actually do have quite a few of these, but there's a problem with that for me, okay? And the problem with that for me is that I'm retail and I'm wholesale. So if I'm retail, what's happening to get honey to a retail outlet? I got to deliver it. Okay? If I have a distributor, they're delivering it. Okay? So to have my wholesaler do better job with his accounts is a much better investment for me and my time than having me go out and do retail expansion. Because then I got to get it from point A to point B. And when I have a wholesaler, I dump it at his warehouse, and he distributes it to all of his customers. So it's a much more effective way for me to distribute my product is through the distributor. Okay, tourist destinations. Denver Museum of Nature and Science, Denver Botanic Gardens, both carry my product there. We have hotels that we run institutional food service jars on, 1.5 ounce jars for room service stuff. So any place that we can put our brand name, any place that we can market, we're going to have that there. Wedding planners. Okay, wedding planners talk to a lot of people all the time. There's a bajillion different little wedding sayings that you can put onto your honey jars, and they're a good source for growing your account rather quickly, but they're all kind of one-shot wonders on that. Local restaurants and local hotels. We do a lot of work with local restaurants and hotels. They are very, very happy to have a local product on their menus that they can say that they are supporting local business, and you in turn can go ahead and support them back. We look at wholesale accounts. So we pack in sizes from 1.5 ounce glass room service jars to 60-pound buckets. We do not do any barrels. All right, barrels, if you're in the barrel game, you have a whole different set of equipment than people that are in the bucket and the retail pack game, wholesale pack game, okay? And so I don't want to get band warmers, I don't want to get lifters, I don't want to get all of that crap that goes with having a barrel distribution. So I just stick with buckets. And the people who buy buckets, and lots of them, are breweries making honey beers, distilleries, okay? We've got people making honey whiskeys out of them, okay? Honey vodkas out of them, honey rums out of it, okay? And this is a great business to be in. You take a 60-pound bucket, you mark it up $30, anywhere from $30 to $120, okay? And out the door you go. You didn't pour it. You have nothing in it but moving it from point A to point B. Okay, so the bucket business is a great business. Okay, mead makers. Mead makers. We have several mead makers. The Mazer Cup is the mead competition. It's held in Boulder, Colorado, not very far from where I live. And so we have mead makers that use my honey to make mead. And if we have an award-winning mead that comes out of our honey, we get a lot more mead makers. Okay, they all chat on where they source their honey from. So we have some very high award-winning meads that have been made with our honey. Large volume honey resellers. I have a woman down in Denver. Her name is the Honey Gal. She sells the living daylights out of my honey, my label, at farmers markets in Southwest Denver. I hate farmers markets. I hate ruining every weekend sitting at a market, okay? She loves farmers markets. It's my brand. 5 times over because she loves to sell honey. So I've got her, if I had one more of her, it would really be great, okay? Bakeries, granola makers, there's a ton of people, sauce makers, there's a ton of people using honey in other products that want your honey. Sell it to them. It's a great way to make money, okay? More farmers market sale venues. I'm not keen on farmers markets, but I have some kids that work for me, and they are keen on farmers markets this year. So we're going to try having them be the honey gal up north, okay, the honey kids, I guess. But we have something coming to Denver this year called Slow Food Nation. Slow Food Nation is exactly our market for our product. We are there. We won something called a Good Food Award, and I'll talk to you about it on a subsequent slide. But if you have won a Good Food Award, which is a very prestigious and hard to win award, if you have won that, you are automatically invited and are guaranteed a booth at Slow Food Nation. Perfect. Okay, now it's this huge event. It's probably 20, 30,000 people they expect over 3 days to attend that event. So that's going to be a massive thing for us. We picked up a distributor. Our distributor in Denver area is Seattle Fish. We've just picked up 2 other minor distributors, and I'm looking at another distributor into northern Colorado. Okay, distributors are great things. I do not do any difference in my pricing to a distributor than I do to any other wholesaler. Okay? So we just sit around, and it's the same wholesale price list that goes out to everybody else is the same one that goes out to the distributor. No problem. Works great for them, okay? And then obviously you could have your own store if you're interested in having your own store, okay? What about other options for growth, okay? Creamed honey. Yeah.
How much of a markdown from the retail price do wholesalers and distributors require in the purchase area?
Yeah, I do 50%, okay? And because what happens is that when they go to sell it, they want to be able to be somewhere at the same place that I am where I'm retailing it online, okay? And so they're going to be somewhere in that zone. And so when you're doing your cost analysis, okay, wholesale, I probably get 30% on wholesale over my cost of production. Okay, but then if I retail, then I've got that 30% plus I've got the double up onto the retail market. Okay, but normally what happens is you put a wholesale list together and then they go to try and sell it, and they'll come back to you and they'll go, you know, I'm having a hard time doubling this, or you know, your price is too low into me. I can make way more money off of this. So they'll give you feedback both directions if you've got a good retailer. Okay, all right, creamed honey. I don't do creamed honey. Okay, lots of people do creamed honey, and it's a great niche, and more power to you if you're interested in doing that. Okay, comb honey. Comb honey, what a gold mine. Okay, comb honey. We sell a 2x4 piece of comb honey for $8.85 wholesale and $15 retail. All day, every day, no questions asked. And I was talking to Caroline earlier. If somebody comes up to me and says, ooh, that's pretty high, I'll say, you do it. Okay? If you don't like what I charge to do it yourself. Comb honey is incredibly difficult to find. Okay? We can't produce enough. So what do? I buy it. Okay? I got another guy who makes comb honey. I buy it from him. Buy the hundreds of cases every year because comb honey is so hot right now. Okay? Varietals. All right? We produce in Colorado, I produce clover and I produce alfalfa. Orange blossom honey is very popular. Very popular. We buy it from a guy in California and sell it because it's a gourmet item, not a local item, but it's a gourmet item. And I'm very clear to people that this is not produced locally. There are no orange trees in Colorado. That doesn't matter. They want orange blossom. We give it to them. Okay? But there's a lot of really cool varietals out there. We've had very good luck with selling cranberry. I'm looking right now at avocado, linden, and one other one we're going to do a sample on and see if we can move it on out the door. Okay, infusions. Okay, this is a kind of an interesting market, but this is what we won the Good Food Award for, was a rose-infused honey. So we partnered with a CSA up in Fort Collins, and she has all these roses. And she picks all the petals off all of these roses, and we infuse it in our alfalfa honey. For about 4 months, we strain it off. It's this lovely light pink color, and it smells like roses and slightly tastes like roses, but it's marvelous. And boy, is it expensive. Okay. If I sell a 9-ounce jar of honey for $10, I sell a 9-ounce jar of rose honey for 20. Okay? I sell a 3-ounce jar of rose honey for 8. Okay? Last year, we had 480 pounds of product, and it was gone in about 2.5 months. This year, I'm not going to sell it. You're going to have to pre-order it. And if you want it, you can get on the list, and you'll have first shot at it. And it'll never get to market. It'll never get to market. It's a great product. But winning a good food award is a great way to grow your business. Winning any award is a great way to go to your business. So enter into your fairs, enter into the ABF competitions, enter into all this stuff so that you can have a stack of ribbons sitting in front of your honey when you go to market, and people think that that's really super cool. Okay? This year we're trying another infusion. I sell my honey to a distiller down in Denver called Stranahan's Whiskey. And Stranahan's buys liquid honey for their honey whiskey, and they buy comb honey for their tasting bar. And they put these little chunks of comb honey in the bottom of the shot glass so that people can have the comb honey with the honey whiskey. Okay? And so I bought a wet barrel back from Stranahan's, and we are doing a whiskey barrel infused honey this year. So we'll find out how it goes, but they want to do a release party for it in September, and so we got all sorts of marketing plans to get the thing out the door. Okay, but and the other thing down here is other people's honey. Okay, we do not produce enough honey. We produce a ton of honey, but we do not produce enough honey for our markets. Okay, so I try and get as many people around me to not do their own label, sell me their honey. I pay a higher price for it than they're going to get from a wholesale marketer otherwise, and so we try and do that ourselves. That may be something that you want to do, maybe not. These are just ideas. This is a brain dump is what this thing is, okay? So it's not all-inclusive. It's just ideas that I've come up with, some of which I execute and some of which I don't. Okay, options for growth, other Hive products, okay? Beeswax, okay? We do beeswax. We make candles. We use it in soaps. We use it as other inputs in other people's products, okay? So we have tons of people. Beeswax gets used in all sorts of weird ways. In caustic painters, saddle soaps, mustache soaps, pool tables, flooring. There's a ton of people that use beeswax for all sorts of different things, and there's a market for it. So it doesn't cost you anything to keep it around. It never goes bad. Put some beeswax out there. Propolis. People are getting very interested in propolis. And propolis to make a tincture is probably a pretty good idea. Haven't gotten to it yet, but talk about a lot of money in a product. Propolis tinctures are like $20 for a 2-ouncer. Okay, royal jelly, don't do it. Probably should. Pollen, don't do it. Probably should. Venom, don't do it. Probably should. There's markets for all of these things, and these are high-end, lots of dollar markets for this stuff. Okay? All right. What about other products? Okay, beekeeping supplies. Not my interest, okay? But there comes a point in time sometimes where people are just asking you for stuff all the time. It's easier just to have it than it is to not have it, okay? Containers. I actually do sell a lot of containers, okay? We place big, huge orders. We have free shipping with our containers. It doesn't matter to me if I tag on somebody else's stuff on there. And so we get containers for people. Nukes and packages. We run a lot of bees, but we don't do any nukes and any packages at all. But it certainly is an industry that has a lot of interest right now. And that may be a way that you want to grow your business, is making nukes and packages. Okay? In Colorado, nukes and packages, we can't get them out the door on queens until mid to late June. So it's just a timing issue. People are ready for that stuff a lot earlier than we can create them in Colorado. Queens, I don't do queens. Good Lord Almighty, I'll show you in a few minutes all the stuff I've got all over everywhere. And queens sound to me like a whole nother building. And so people think I'm nuts because I keep all these bees and I don't have any interest whatsoever in rearing queens. Let me repeat that. I have no interest whatsoever in rearing queens. None. Okay? I want other people to rear me queens, and I'll just buy them. It's much simpler on me. So I am totally into buying other people's queens. Okay? But people buy lots and lots of queens, and at $30 a bug, there's probably some pretty good money in that. Okay? So you might want to think about that if you want to grow your business that way. Pollination contracts. One of the reasons I developed this whole talk is because I honestly think that you can still make a living in America as a honey producer and not have to go to California almonds. And so that's one of the reasons that I actually developed this talk, was how do you make money in this business without having to go out to California? And so I don't have any interest in hauling bees out to California or back again, all right? Local pollination. Somebody mentioned pumpkins earlier today. Okay, Marion did. All right, and so we have cucumbers, we've got pumpkins, we have, we don't put our bees on those, but there is a demand for that service in our area. Somebody else is meeting that, but that may be an option for you. Is just a small scale, couple hives. There's a whole book on or whole thing on the internet that you can find that tells you how many hives you need per acre of crop that you're trying to produce, and so you can find out how many you need to set if somebody ever asks you to do that. Figure out a rate, get a contract off the internet, and go set some hives over there. Okay, options for growth, value-added products. Okay, value-added products. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you have honey and then you have rose honey, that rose honey is worth more than honey, okay? And honey is totally undervalued in the marketplace by ourselves, okay? But partnerships with other manufacturers, okay? I'm not in the business of going up to look at General Mills or somebody like that who's doing production stuff. But there are companies that are growing as fast as I'm growing that we can grow together, and it's a really super great niche, okay? So we have a yogurt maker, okay? We have granola people that are all using my product in the production of their product, and as they grow, we grow with them. Medicinals, okay, this propolis tincture that I was talking about, honey salves, okay, all that stuff is a nice little niche market if you're interested in that. And the CBD THC, what's that? Do you guys know? That is marijuana. Okay, so that is cannabidiol, and THC is the marijuana side of it. CBD is just the non-high component. We have that opportunity, and we are using it. Okay, so we have a lot of people buying our honey to put into their CBD and THC products, and then now we are really trying to develop a product of our own under our own label to use their THC and CBD back in ours. It's a heavily regulated industry in Colorado, and so I cannot, in my commercial operation, put THC in there. You have to have a separate facility for that, so I'd have to use somebody else's facility to do that, but we're just running through all of that right now. But it is an absolute boon to business opportunity. Okay, and then last, of course, you've got things like soaps, lotions, lip balms, all of these types of things that you can use to grow your business also. Okay, you can grow your business with skills. Mentoring. Now, I've always mentored people. For years, I've mentored people. But now I have people calling me up and say, hey, will you mentor me? Wait a minute. Sure. You're free labor. Okay? And so we are growing our business with mentored people. Okay? So I have a guy that's from a farm a little bit further west of me, and I just got off of 3 weeks rafting the Grand Canyon, okay? It was a great trip. It's a bucket list trip. I did it for all of March. Oh my God, am I behind for April, okay? And now I have 2 of me, okay? Because I got this guy that's mentoring, and he can learn really fast. And so he can do hives, and I can do hives right next to us, and we get twice as much work done, and it doesn't cost me 1 red cent. But since he's such a pleasant fellow, I told him I'd process his honey at the end of the year for free. Okay? So mentoring is a great thing. Okay? I have kids from the university. They call up and say, hey, we want to get into bees and we need a mentor. And I said, sure, come on over. And it was in the dead of winter, and I'm a wax and wire foundation person. Okay? And they got really good at wax and wiring frames. 500 of them I had them do. But I started paying them because they were doing such a great job. It looked every bit as nice as my wax and wire frames, and I didn't have to do them. Okay, and so now I got 500 of them sitting there, stacks and stacks of them. So mentoring can cost you money, but it doesn't have to. Teaching, okay? I love to teach. We teach for the Master Beekeeper course, so teaching is a great way. We no longer do teaching for free, most of us, okay? We don't do public speaking for free anymore either, okay? There's costs associated with getting from point A to point B, and so people understand that, so we just charge for that. We don't rape them for that. We just charged enough to get us from point A to point B, okay? So I do charge for that. Swarm catching, we don't charge for swarm catching. Swarm catching, and I feel very strongly, is a public service that we're offering. Structural removals, if you are doing structural removals for free, I am unhappy with you, okay? Structural removers have value, okay? That service has big value. It's a terrible job. If you've ever done it, how many people do structural removals? It's awful. Okay, it's miserable. It's hot. They're unhappy. You're unhappy. But they're going to pay an exterminator to kill them, so why won't they pay you to remove them? They will. Okay, so start charging if you're not. Adopt a Hive. Okay, this is a program that I want to get off the ground, but I haven't done yet for kids. Okay, where their classrooms can adopt a hive. I mean, you start out a kid in the fall with extracting his own jar of honey, you will have that kid hooked for life, okay? And you could have, there's all sorts of, a whole curriculum that can be developed around Adopt a Hive. Hive sponsorships, okay? There are other people that are doing this, but we charge. If you want hives on your property, that's fine and dandy. $100 a year, okay? Other options for growth, marketing, okay? I have a website. I have a very good website. Social media. I hate social media. I have absolutely no... I looked at it this morning before I came over here just to see what was on my Facebook page. The last time I put something on there was 2012 when we signed the cottage industry bill, and I'm standing right behind the governor. So social media is not my cup of tea, but there is a woman who taught at the Western Agricultural Society conference up in Montana a few years ago, and she talked about how she uses social media for her business, and she was fascinating. She'd done an incredibly wonderful job in marketing her business via those channels. That may be something that you want to do, that you have interest in or you have time for. I don't have interest or time. But yesterday I had this guy, we had a problem when I was on vacation with our order system online, and so I never got his order, he never got his product, 2 orders that way. So then I'm in the hole, right? So I send him some extra product, tell him thank you very much for his patience, blah, 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 blah. And he says, he sent me this really nice thank you note last night. And then he says, and I posted it on Menu Picks, a good review for you on Menu Picks. And so when I logged in this morning, I have 6 likes on my Facebook page. It had to have come from his Menu Picks posting. I've never even heard of Menu Picks, okay? But I went out there and checked it out. And at any rate, you know, there is a lot of synergy that can happen on social media if it's your cup of tea. So use it if it is. Traditional marketing channels, newspapers, that type of thing, go for it. What we like to do is sponsorships and donations, okay? Where we like to sponsor the local kids track team, cross-country team with honey sticks and stuff like that. That's great for us. It's great for them. They need the energy, quick and easy. But donations, I do this thing, my husband calls it Tom Sawyering. Okay? And so what we do is we donate a day in the bee yard. Okay? And you get to bid on that for the school, for the nonprofit organization, for whatever, for this beekeeping experience. And so those things will sell for a couple $100. So it works out really well for the school. It works out really well for the nonprofit. I get somebody to come over and help me harvest honey, because that's what the experience is. And so here we are, harvesting all this honey, and they're putting it into the truck, and so it's just this full circle thing that works great. Okay, so think about creative ideas like that to get your honey and your name and your experience out to people. We are partnered with a new hotel chain. It's a people called White Lodging, which has a Marriott contract, but they are opening up 2 new Marriott hotels in downtown Denver, and one of them is called, let me think, AI, and the other one is called Le Meridian. Okay, and they do these custom keys, and they're all about doing these experiences for people in Denver. Well, guess what? We're one of them. Okay, so if somebody presents a key to me, I give them a tour of the bee yard. They have to call first. They can't just pop in on me, but that's a program with a hotel chain. Great way to expand my market as far as I'm concerned. But so always look, there's a woman by the name of Emily Brown. Emily is Arizona queen bee, but she just moved to Maryland, so maybe she'll be the Maryland queen bee. But the bottom line is that she is the greatest on the planet for creating media opportunities. If she's going to go out and catch a swarm, she calls the newspaper. If she's going to go out and do a cooking demo, she calls a newspaper. She calls a radio station. She calls a TV station. She just creates this circle of media that travels around with her and free advertises her business for whatever she's doing. Okay? So, is that enough for opportunities that you might think of for how to grow your business successfully? Okay? So this is where we decided to go. Okay, so we decided that we'd stick with club administration last year, and that we'd find a distributor. We'd start trying to get accounts that made it worth my while to drop them there. Okay, and we did some expansion of our product line. We added in these little 1.5 ounce jars, and then we decided that we were killing ourselves with our facilities. Okay, so we built a honey house. And not just any honey house will do. My next younger sister is an architect, and so she designed the honey house, and this thing won an American Institute of Architecture award. And so this is our baby, okay? And it is an unbelievable structure, and that is my pouring room. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so this is FDA, wholesale, retail, and manufacturing licensed facility. Okay, so it just gave us the base to expand and move forward with our business. Okay, I won't tell you how much it cost. I will tell you how happy it has made my working conditions and how easy it has made it for me to grow my business because I have everything where I need it when I need it. Okay, and so if I'm going to go back a slide. Let's see if I can get my little pointer to work. So there's actually 2 stories here. So that upper window is all where I do all my back storage on all my packaging. It's where I do all my candles and soaps. All of our stuff is up there. Then right here we have, you can just see that one side is the manufacturing, or is the pouring side. Those double gray doors are a warm room. Okay, so when we put in all the supers from the field, we put them straight into the warm room, keep them there at 90 degrees until we've got them stacked up nice and high, and then we have the whole production line inside the warm room, and we have a pumping option to come over to the tanks to pump straight into the tanks. Otherwise, we just bucket right there on that side. We can pump it either direction. Okay, and then if you look, you can see on the steel framing one there, you can see there's like this. This thing's just not working worth a darn. This upper side here. So there's this massive main room over there, and that's where all of our stupors are stacked, all of our feeders are stacked, all of our product that's already poured and boxed and ready, labeled to go out the door. Everything's all into that massive storage facility. Okay, somebody have a question? Yeah. Nope. No, we don't. There are some features of my business that are absolutely archaic. And 2 of them, one of them is wax and wire. I insist on wax and wire. Bees way prefer wax and wire. Your hives are a lot cleaner if you use wax and wire. You don't get what I call plastic weirdness, which is where they build a comb in looks like a random fashion on your plastic frames. You never get that with wax and wire. They love wax and wire. Clean as a whistle on them, okay? The other thing I do is I still brush bees. I do not use blowers. It ruins my zen. Okay? And so I just like nice and quiet when I'm doing it. I'm very efficient at brushing bees, but we still just brush bees out. And so same thing, you know, when we're just stacking them up there, it's all just solid labor, you know. But it's a small space, so it's really just to rotate to put them in. I do have a chain uncapper. I've got a 21 frame stainless centrifugal. Okay, so now that we got the honey house done, and it cost me a fortune to outfit it. Go ahead, Neil.
Not counting the building itself.
Uh-huh.
What ballpark does the building itself cost for somebody who wants to ratchet up to be a 500 or 105
Well, I have a companion pass on Southwest Airlines. And in order to get that, you have to spend $110,000 in a year. Most of that was this. Okay? So those tanks on the left there, I have more there now. Those are about $1,500 a pop. And then I have all certified scales. Okay? So you have to get certified scales, and then you have to have them certified every year. So scales are a great investment for you. You find out how inaccurately you pour in about a heartbeat until you get a scale. But there are ways that you can, like if you see that one tank is taller than the other two, okay, that is a tank that I got from somebody. These are all water jacketed tanks, so they absolutely use no energy to run these things, okay? And they keep that honey at 90 degrees. And it's just wonderful, wonderful, okay? And so you can look for deals. Like the 21 frame extractor that I have, this is a 21 frame centrifugal stainless steel extractor, some top motor mount on the thing. I got it from some guy. He was sent on a mission. I live in Mormon country, okay? So he was sent on a mission, and he sold it for $500. Okay, and he lived a mile behind my house. I mean, I just had to go back there with a pickup truck, load it up, and there came a $1,800 piece of equipment for $500. Okay, so if you look in the back of American Bee Journal, Bee Culture, or if you guys have a for sale thing on your website, okay, that's a great way to find equipment and just kind of run around with a list all the time. Now, I don't do that. So stainless, I mean, nothing goes wrong with stainless. You're very safe buying stainless from anybody you can buy stainless from. But if you get into woodenware, I don't buy anything like that. Everything I do is new on woodenware. Except if I know somebody who I respect as a beekeeper and if I'm comfortable with what they're doing with their stuff. So, I think, or if you're doing, like I had a guy, he was selling 9 frame boxes of drawn comb medium supers, $15. Okay? This is the guy who used to be president of the state association before me. I snapped up 100 of them. That's the biggest asset you have. And he's selling them for $15 drawn. They're not brood. This is super only, honey only, production only. I got a boatload of those guys. Yeah. So you just have to keep your eye peeled. So in answer to your question, no clue. You can do it as expensively as you want or as cheaply as you want. I really believe that. But if you're going to spend money on that extractor. Okay? Get yourself a good extractor. It'll make your life a lot easier. So after my $500, I've been using it for probably 7 years. And this year, the bearings went, the top thing went, the hell with it. We're getting a new one. Okay, so I sold that one. I had a guy that wanted that thing, so it's out the door for $350. He's happy as a clam. And then we're going to buy a new one. And Lita was at the American Beekeeping Federation conference show, and they had a motor, direct drive motorized one that I'm going to get. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, you had a question in the back there? Yeah. So we have insurance. Let's see if we go down here. You can see that next to the bottom thing is agritourism. Okay. So you know, if you end up with a wholesaler, your wholesaler is going to require you to have insurance also. Okay, product insurance. Okay, so just talk around to people, and you'll find somebody who will do you a good job that understands what's going on with respect to beekeeping insurance. Okay, and like right now, we're getting ready to set some hives at the Botanic Gardens on their roof there. Okay, and so I sent them over an email going, hey. Are these mine or are these yours? You know, do I need to give you a bill or what needs to happen here on this stuff? He said, oh, yeah, well, just come on over. We'll have it done. And then he's like, well, wait a minute. We need to meet with the attorney. Okay. So then I email my insurance guy going, hey, is here's what they're looking for. Are we going to be okay on this? He's like, yeah, we're covered depending on what they put in their side of the contract. Okay. So insurance is available. What does it run me a year? About $600 or $700. Okay, so it's not terribly expensive. Okay, so options for growth. Okay, so these are things that I'm actually looking at to try and get done myself these years. Okay, and so new brand for a new market. Okay, so we're really trying to come up with a new brand for a different market, and I don't know if I'll get to it. Every year I think I'm going to get some of this stuff done, and I'm going to do all this planning, and I'm going to grow in this solid, way. And then the first thing that happens this year is I get a call out of the blue from a major national retailer that wants 1,500 quarts of honey. I've never even been to one of their stores. Okay, and guess what? They want it at wholesale pricing. And guess what? They pick it up in their own trucks. Fine. There went $15,000 right before I left for the Grand Canyon. Okay, so it wasn't in the business plan. I had no idea that they even bought honey. Okay, so we went ahead and took advantage of that and ended up with about $5,000 in our pockets in February, which is a great time to have $5,000 in your pockets. Okay, so trademark protection. I don't have my label or my name trademark protected. I didn't think that was an issue until somebody calls and says they got B-squared honey. But it wasn't mine. And it turns out there's another B-squared in Colorado. Okay? So I'm going to have to trademark protect at some point. And it's going to be fairly expensive to do that. But it seems like it's going to be a hell of an investment, a return on that investment to have that done. Okay? Increasing wholesale and retail accounts. Okay, so distillers are great for us. They're bucket guys. We love them. Gifts and nurseries. I'm just doing them in a distribution area that I can manage. Okay, and then these wedding planners. This is a great way to get your stuff nationwide very quickly because people come out of all over everywhere for weddings, and then they take all these little things back home again, and there you are. Okay. We did add comb honey. We're trying to figure out what we're doing for different varietals. Okay, market and venue analysis stuff. The other day I stopped by. Anybody ever heard of Celestial Seasonings? Yeah. There's no honey in that gift shop. This is a gift shop that's as big as this room that sells tea. Only tea. They have a little bit of creamed honey, but they have no liquid honey. I looked at them 2 years ago, and I thought, God, I got to go by there with some samples. And then I drove all the way over to Boulder the other day and forgot an order. And so I had to go all the way back, and so I punished myself by making myself go in there and get that samples dropped off to those guys. They were very amenable to that. Okay? That will be a huge account if we put them online. Okay, so I'm always looking. Always looking, okay? The agritourism piece, okay, we have people that like to bring buses up and come listen to a little bee talk like the Honeybee 101 that I gave last night. We do that for them, and then I have a 12-pack bee yard that sits in my backyard, and we can go out there. We have some extra veils for them if they want them. Otherwise, I just go out there and pull a frame with the queen so they can all take pictures, and so we do the agritourism. We set up a little thing so that they can all buy little honey bears and whatever they want to buy while they're there, and bada bing, bada boom, it's another nice little way to get your stuff out. And again, it's just creating media opportunities. Every opportunity we have that we can call the paper, we can call the radio station, or we can sponsor a radio station and get more money in the door, we exercise it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So this is where we're kind of moving to. You can see that I got out of club administration. Okay, I've been heads of beekeeping associations for a fifth of my life. And so we're really moving more into the wholesale zone. We've added on several of our large bucket people that were repouring into their own brands. I said, look, you're nuts. Okay, and the time that you spend sitting around pouring honey into jars, I can pay my kids 50 cents a jar. I pay my kids 50 cents a jar. Okay, 50 cents, whether it's that big or that big. They make a fortune. Okay, they have been with me for years because they make about $80 an hour. They're very efficient. They label, they pack, and they pour, and we pay them cash if we've got it, write them checks if we don't. Okay, and actually we've gotten so big that we actually have to do payroll on them now. But I convinced these guys to let us pour and pack their honey. And so now I make the money on the bucket sale, because that's the price that I charge them to put the honey in the jar, and I got my kids employed for a more frequent time frame, because now they're getting 50 cents a jar times 3 of me. Okay, so it keeps the labor market happy. Let's put it that way. Okay, I still love bees. We're doubling up our bees this year. We're continuing to do our brand development. We're trying to get these market segments better penetrated. In other words, distillers are great. We love them. Let's get more distillers. Brewers are great. We love them. Let's get more brewers. Cider makers, big thing now too. Well, now we got all these cider makers that are in there too. And then we spent last year retrenching, okay, and just streamlining systems so that things worked better. How were we invoicing? How were we banking? How are we doing payroll? How are we doing all these things? And just trying to get all these ducks in a row so that we can have the base to grow, because we've got a solid base put in place. And so that's what we did. All right? Does it? Okay?
Except for the bucket wholesale sale, what's the most popular or profitable thing? And then how do you achieve with
There you go, that's right. Okay, so the questions were, number one, what is the most popular sizes other than the buckets, okay? And what's most profitable is actually 3 questions. What's the most profitable? And finally, how do I do the rose-infused honey? Okay, so number 1, the most popular sizes are 1-pounders and 3 ounces. Okay, 1 pound squeeze and 3 ounce little tiny sample ones. Okay. What's the most profitable? The smaller the better. We're at $1 an ounce plus, $1.30 to pack a 1 1/4 ounce jar, wholesale. Okay, so so it's incredibly popular, and it's enough to drive your kids that are pouring for you absolutely nuts. So we're looking at a automated pourer, okay, an automated pourer, because those 1 1/4s are killing us. Because hotels buy 1 1/4s by the 500 packs, right? And so to sit there and pack and label 500 of these things, I finally just had them put 2,000 into inventory so that they could just get through it and go to a manageable level, you know. And so it's very profitable the smaller your jars are. And run an experiment. If you do anything in a market, take off your smallest jar. And guess what? They'll just buy bigger jars. It's magic. and so, but the profitability is on the smaller jars. Okay, but if you want to watch how customer sales go, track them, and you'll see that they'll always go for the smallest jar. And the rose-infused honey, we do biodynamic rose petals in honey, and then we just steep it for 4 months. And last year she did 250,000 rose petals for 500 pounds of honey.
So you hold it like 90 degrees, is that one way?
No, we kind of maintain it and then stir it, occasionally. And so if it's starting to crystallize out, then I'll warm it back up again so it's liquid. But other than that, we just let it go. I'm sorry? Do we do any drying of honey? Oh, no. No, we don't have, Colorado's humidity level is nothing, so we don't have a need to dry honey in Colorado. And in fact, I have a little controversy going on right now because I entered my honey into the American Beekeeping Federation contest and I got disqualified for moisture content. And it's no way. Yeah, and it's like, what do you mean? I mean, I run a hydrometer on it, and my refractometer said it was right where it was supposed to be. It's not fermenting, it's crystallizing. Justify this result. And so I'm waiting to see. And I don't know, because it was in Galveston, that maybe they had it open for so long while they were waiting to get to it that it picked up the humidity in the Galveston area and raised it enough to disqualify it. I don't know. Yeah. For a pint? Probably should have mentioned that. I don't do pints. Way back here in the beginning, let me show you. Okay. We're B squared. Okay. So we do squares. Okay. Which is great for shelf space. Okay. Because retailers love it because it fits nice on the shelf, right? Okay. But I purposely did very odd sizes. So we have 3s, 5s, 9s, 14s, and 18s. So nobody can ever tell what the hell the price per pound is. You got to whip out your phone to make that calculation to figure out what it is, okay? So I don't do pints and quarts because then they can easily compare me to somebody else, okay? Because they don't know what's in a pint or a quart, but I do, and so that just takes away that whole game. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm done. I'll be around. We've got another class that we'll be teaching this afternoon. Thank you all. I appreciate it.